Hello and welcome to NPS Now, your source for news and information about Norfolk Public Schools. I'm your host, Karen Tanner, and with me today is Kenyatta Goshen. She is the Senior Director of Career and Technical Education, and we're here to talk today about STEM. So welcome to NPS Now.
Well, thank you for having me.
For those at home who may be new to the district or already in our district, tell us what is STEM and how it works in the classroom.
When we speak of STEM, we're speaking of a comprehensive curriculum-based learning that incorporates science, technology, engineering, and math, and it's done in an applied learning manner and not in a siloed. So everything's interdisciplinary, so what you're learning can translate into every single subject and not just one event or one activity.
Mm-hmm. So what isn't STEM? So folks won't be confused about what is STEM and what isn't STEM.
I'd like to say that what we do here in Norfolk Public Schools is not STEM in a box. STEM is not a one-time event or one particular robot or one particular program. It is infused into everyday teaching and learning. The technology that we use is throughout all of your areas. The engineering process is infused, and what you're doing is you're seamlessly infusing STEM into every single thing. So it's not a STEM room or a STEM day. It is really about teaching and learning every day with rigor and relevance.
So how are we doing that specifically, you think?
It really depends on throughout the city. For example, if you're at one particular school, you may see it through a project like a Project Lead the Way. If you're at another school, it may be in an engineering pathway. When you go into all classrooms, science, technology, engineering, and math, it's all of higher level. So the curriculum that you have may be SOL based, but we go beyond the SOLs. So when you go into a school, whether it's in elementary, middle, or high, there's no such thing as a STEM room.
Right.
STEM is infused throughout the division.
Mm-hmm. So why is it important for STEM to be spread throughout our district and our other content areas?
Because we're preparing students for college, career, and civilian readiness. So we want to make sure that our students are ready for what's beyond. Also, it's science, technology, engineering, and math, but you cannot exclude the electives. Fine arts are a key part of what a student will do. We educate the whole student. We do not silo education. We make sure it's interdisciplinary, so we include all areas of learning.
Speaking of areas of learning, how is Southside STEM different from the other schools?
Well, Southside STEM has some unique attributes. Not only is it a K-8, but it also has what we call Project Lead the Way, which is a national STEM-based curriculum that really works on empowering students to take ownership of their own learning. It is not siloed, as I previously stated, but it's modular-based. So students who are in science are learning the same thing in math. Technology is infused throughout, as well as they infuse the engineering process throughout all areas. In addition to that, they have what we know as the Apple pathway, where a lot of work that's being done at, for example, Berkeley Compostela with Apple Connect and Apple Distinguished Learning has moved up to Southside STEM Academy. So they have the best of not both worlds, but many worlds.
So coming up soon, you have a special invitation-only event that's happening at Southside STEM. Tell us about that.
That allows certain individuals from the community to come in and visit. The doors are open to everyone, but this particular walkthrough is for community members to come in to see what goes on each and every day. Again, it's not a show and tell, it's come see all the greatness that we do all the time. They will have an opportunity to visit 4 different classrooms because Project Lead the Way is K2, 3, 5, and 6-8. They'll see each of those grade bands, go into the classroom, see the great STEM activities, see this great STEM learning that takes place, talk to students, talk to teachers. Our teachers at Southside STEM are growing because they have a special line of training. In addition to the traditional training that's done, our students are growing by leaps and bounds simply because they're exposed to a different curriculum, and it's still growing. So I don't want anyone to think you go there and you see perfection. It is perfection on the move. It's the journey to perfection, although there's no such thing as perfection.
We're always perfecting.
That's
so
right.
you mentioned Project Lead the Way. What is that for folks at home?
Project Lead the Way is a national curriculum that's really rigorous in nature. There's 3 different phases, but right now at Southside STEM, you have Project Lead the Way Launch. That's for your K-5 students, and then you have Project Lead the Way Gateway. That is grades 6, 7, and 8. And it really gives a higher level of infusion of STEM for all of the students. It's modular based, so it's not an add-on, it's a strong infusion into what the students are already doing. And believe me, it is applied learning at its best, and the students, as we say, are rocking and rolling. So you may go and they're doing 3D printing, they may be doing medical detectives, they're doing something with light and sound. It really depends on the age group and the band and what they're learning at the time.
Why is it important for us to have an important event like this?
Well, I think it has to do with making sure that our community, our stakeholders, internal and external, have a clear understanding of who we are and what we're doing with our students. Most importantly, it opens the doors and allows them to become a part of the STEM greatness.
So where does the district want to be in the future when it comes to STEM?
Well, I always say the sky's the limit, and then we go far beyond that. We want to make sure, as I previously stated, that our students are college, career, and civic ready, and making sure that we don't wait until high school. It has to start from pre-K and move its way up. Our goal is to ensure when our students leave Norfolk Public Schools, they are prepared for whatever post-secondary endeavor that's ahead for them. Most importantly, that they're ready for whatever career pathway should they choose. If they go on to college, they'll be perfectly set and ready. If they go to the world of work or military, we have done what we needed to do to ensure our students are the brightest and best.
And we're glad here in Norfolk Public Schools we're exposing all of our students to
Yes,
STEM.
we are.
Yes, so thank you for coming on the show today to talk about the STEM that's throughout the Norfolk Public Schools. So thank you.
Thank you.
And we want you to stay tuned for more NPS Now.
Welcome back to NPS Now. I'm Steve Sutmiller, Senior Coordinator of Athletics. Today in the studio, we have 2 guests from Granby High School. We have the Athletic Director, Travis McClenny. Welcome.
Thank you.
And he has brought a star field hockey player, Carissa Crawford. Welcome. Travis, we have you down here to talk a little bit about, obviously, field hockey, but also what field hockey is doing as and your athletic program in terms of community service. So talk a little bit about what type of initiatives Granby High School is taking on with community service.
Yeah, so our field hockey team is doing some great things this year. On different Wednesdays throughout the season, they're going to be going out in the community, just trying to expand our reach. And one of the things that they're doing is stopping by the Lafayette Library, and I'll let Carissa expand on that a little more as she begins to talk. But they go to the library, they not only read to the children, but they help out with the staff with other things that are needed. Overall in athletics, outside of just field hockey, the athletics department is planning to do a community cleanup day coming up where we're going to get the student athletes to take some pride and kind of take back a little bit of the ownership of our school and the school grounds and the community that surrounds Granby.
Okay, so exactly, tell us why Granby High School got, and you just mentioned a little bit, but expand upon that, why you got involved with these community services.
Okay, we're getting involved with community service for multiple reasons. One, we want to show our student athletes that we can be the example, we can be the change that we want to see in the community. Some of them, many, just like Carissa, have very good ideas about things that we could do to update the school grounds, whether it be painting, whether it be just picking up trash. But we also want to show them leadership skills through service, because that's our main goal. Yes, we're here for school. We're definitely here to play some sports, but we also want to have an impact on the community. Sure. We want them to come out to our games and support us, so we want to do things to contribute and help them as well.
Okay, Carissa, so as a student athlete, getting involved in community services, what was that like for you and then also the team?
Well, for me personally, I've been involved in so many community programs for my entire life, but to really come together as an athletics team, I think there's a special element there because we already have this camaraderie on the field, but then to really take that and further our bond and help others is something special. You know, it's nothing I've ever done before. I've never been involved in any athletics program, any school function where we took what we do specifically, where we play field hockey, but then we also, on the side, do community involvement projects. So I'm
Okay.
really excited.
So what was your initial reaction besides excitement?
I think I was surprised when my coach, she's very involved and she has so many different resources, and she sort of reached out to us and was like, hey, instead of a regular Wednesday practice, we're going to head over to the Lafayette Library, and as a team, we're going to help around with whatever they need. And for me as a child, I spent so much time there. So it was sort of, you know, a blast to the past. And we walked through those doors and it's, you know, the sounds, the smells, it's everything that I remember growing up. And it's so
Okay.
sweet to look at these kids and to give back to them.
All right, so yeah, you got that program started.
Right.
Are there any other initiatives for the remainder of the season that you guys are going to participate in?
Well, one of my best friends, she founded the Granby Community Volunteer Club, and she's involved a majority of the field hockey team in it, just through, you know, our connections and our friendships, and that's sort of something we've taken and pursued, and it's a really fantastic opportunity for us to further those investments in the community.
Okay. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the field hockey team.
Sure.
And where you are this year and how
Okay.
things are going. So
So we
how
played-
is the Granby field hockey team?
Well, I don't want to sound biased, but I think we're doing pretty good, all things
Okay.
considered. We've played 6 games, we've won 4 of them.
Very good.
I just love our team spirit. The whole atmosphere is fantastic. We're all really supportive of one another. We're bettering ourselves every day, and I couldn't ask for much more.
Okay, so talk about the influence that Coach Miller has had on the team.
Sure, our coach, I love her to death. There are a few adults in my life where I just really trust and respect wholeheartedly, and she's one of them. She leads by example. This initiative is just one example of how she always wants to better us, not only as athletes, but as people in general. She's the type of person who's always there for you, and that's something that I think every teenager needs.
Okay, very good. So Travis, let's talk about, again, the Granby program. How is this going to translate to success on the field, not just with field hockey, but will all teams be part of this moving forward?
Yes, definitely. All teams at Granby are part of this movement here for community service. And I believe that it's going to correlate with our results and actions on the field as well, in the sense of when you take your time outside of practice and come together, that's one showing that we want to be together. At our community service event, like on our Saturday coming up for the cleanup day, we're going to have breakfast type brunch together. So we have a time to eat together as well. We're not just going to work, but we're going to eat together. I feel that when you have food involved, people come together. And so we're going to eat, we're going to clean, we're going to have some fun. And then we're going to show teamwork. We're going to show that the field hockey team is not just working on this hallway by themselves. The field hockey team is working with the volleyball team and the basketball team. So we have athletes that might not necessarily practice together every day, but they're coming together to work on a specific project. So now Carissa may say, hey, I actually want to go support the basketball team at one of their games. And now the football team is saying, hey, we want to go support Carissa because we had so much fun working together and we know her. So now we're not just walking past each other, but we're known athletes at the school.
Right.
So we're just building that family environment.
So it sounds like a lot of change going on at Granby.
Yes,
This
sir.
is your second year, so compare that first year to right now. How's it going?
The transition is actually going well. You know, sometimes things take a little bit of time, and that's where we're at right now. We're just being patient with our students, allowing them to grow and develop their young minds and their young bodies.
Okay.
We're allowing our coaches to begin to grow and giving them some patience as well. We have a lot of turnover of coaches, which is in a good way, bringing a lot of energy and a lot of positivity to the team. We have a lot of former students that are now coaches like Coach Miller that are still holding that Granby pride and tradition down.
Good.
And bringing some of the new people in a good way. So we're starting to gel. I'm a lot comfortable now that again, being known. You know, I'm not just walking past my coaches anymore as their coaches, but they're actually my friends now, and we can have
Very good.
conversations and talk.
Okay, so Carissa, let's talk about what he talked a little bit about in terms of all the teams kind of bonding together.
Sure, okay.
So from a student athlete's perspective, you know, the field hockey team going out to support the volleyball team, the
Right.
football team, how's that translating?
Well, I think as a student athlete, just in general, you relate to one another, no matter what your sport is. You know, you're going through similar events, you have game schedules at the same time, you know, you're trying to balance homework, home life, you know, social life, game schedules, practices, and you're all kind of bonded together over that common thread. So whenever we get the opportunity, we often come to support, you know, our teams. We have baseball players in the stands watching us. We go watch their games when the seasons rotate. We're going to basketball games, volleyball games, especially when we have our rival nights, when we play Norfolk teams versus Norfolk teams. We really like to be there for each other.
Okay. So, one last question. You've told us how you're doing so far in field hockey.
Right.
But how far can you guys advance into this year's season?
I'm hopeful. I'm positive. I want to be cautiously optimistic. I don't want to sound cocky and I don't want to sound pessimistic, but I don't know. We'll see what we can do. If we keep playing like we're playing, I think we can go pretty far.
Okay. Well, again, we wish you great success out there.
Thank you.
Travis, you're doing a good job. Continue that. And go Granby Comets.
Go Comets.
All right.
Go Comets.
More NPS Now after this.
Welcome back to NPS Now. With us today is a very special guest. We have Jamie Malnick. She is the Senior Director of Early Learning and Title I to talk about an upcoming event that deals with pre-K. So welcome to NPS Now.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad to have you. We have an event coming up very soon dealing with pre-K at Southside STEM Academy. Tell us, why are we hosting this event?
Sure. So next Monday, September 30th, we will be hosting a pre-K community event at Southside STEM Academy from 5:30 to 7. It's first of our many pre-K events we want to have around the city this year to really let parents in the community know some of the upcoming changes for preschool, what does it mean to be kindergarten ready, and how parents can help their students as they approach kindergarten.
Mm-hmm. So what are some specific things you think you'll be going over that night?
We're going to have one of the leaders in the early education field come in and work with families to talk about what does pre-K look like. If you walk into a pre-K classroom, you're going to see them playing, but what's really happening? So she will talk with them a lot about how play fosters learning. She will also talk with them about developmentally appropriate activities they can work with their children at home to assist in the learning process. We also are going to have more experts in the field in the form of kindergarten teachers. We have the team from Southside STEM Academy. They will be coming in and offering their perspective on exactly what it means to be kindergarten ready from the experts.
Sounds like we're taking a lot of time with pre-K and wanting to inform the public about it. So what's the difference between our pre-K program here in Norfolk and preschool in other school districts?
So many of our preschool programs are similar from district to district. Where you'll find some of the difference will be in the public preschool, which is much what we have, or versus the private preschool, some of the licensed daycare facilities, or even some of the church or neighborhood daycares. The great thing about our programs is that our teachers are fully licensed in the state of Virginia as teachers. Okay. So they have the background in teaching early literacy, early numeracy, understanding the social emotional needs of students. And so that's what sort of sets us apart a little bit.
Good. Well, approximately how many pre-K3 and pre-K4 students do we have?
We have 80 classrooms for our 4-year-olds and 21 for our 3-year-olds for a total of over 1,700 slots, more than 1,700 students that we serve, getting them kindergarten ready.
That's a lot of babies that we're teaching. And this is a great thing. So tell us, what's a typical day like for a pre-K student?
Well, it varies from classroom to classroom, of course, as teachers set their schedules and work within the parameters of their buildings. But what you will see, no matter what class you go into, you're going to see 18 3- or 4-year-olds actively engaged in play, but that play has a purpose. And that play is about learning through experiences. They are learning early literacy, early numeracy. They're learning the self-control, the self-regulation, learning how to share, learning how to get along, learning how to problem solve. Those things happen through play and not through sit and get, as you may see in our older grades sometimes.
Yeah, let's take a quick look at a classroom at J. Cox Elementary School with pre-K.
Great.
A typical day in pre-K starts with the kids coming in, lots of energy from the moment they walk through the door. We're getting into our areas in the morning, breakfast, we come in, we have our circle, we greet everyone, and then we come to this, which is their free play time, which is where the most of our instruction takes place. They enjoy this the most, which is why it's the bulk of our day. It's where they can explore, where they lead us with their interests, and we as teachers just have to find the correct way, the developmentally appropriate way to squeeze in the lessons that we want them to learn, the skills that we want them to learn. We teach a lot of math skills. We teach a lot of early reading skills. We concentrate on integrating language and literacy in a whole and not in isolation. We do things that they can recognize in their environment, which makes it more meaningful. If we don't teach pre-K kids how to think, how to discover, how to take apart problems and figure them out, then they're not going to be able to do that at any point, because once they get into kindergarten and the upper grades, everything is so structured that they don't have the wiggle room to make mistakes, to figure things out. It's like they need to know X, Y, and Z, and they need to know it by tomorrow. So we're learning math, we're learning science, we're doing early reading skills, everything that you can think of that the other grade levels are doing, we're doing. We're just doing it in a more rounded way, in a way that is more meaningful to them and that is more developmentally appropriate. These are the things that they're going to remember, in the sense that they'll be able to use it, not memorization, remember.
That was amazing. What an awesome pre-K teacher. They're learning home skills, they're learning literacy, they're learning even team building. So tell me, what is one of the most common misconceptions about pre-K? After I watched that, what do you think that is?
It's exactly what Ms. Besson-Anderson mentioned in the video. Students are learning through play, and a lot of times when family members or parents or community members come in, they might expect to see students sitting in the seats at tables or desks, and instead what they'll find is they're in play and they're learning, and they actually can learn those very early literacy, numeracy skills and those self-regulation skills through those activities, and a lot of people forget that that's what a 48-month-old needs to develop those skills.
And that they got to remember that, a 48-month-old.
That's right, that's right.
What sorts of challenges do you think a pre-K teacher might face that others might not realize?
I think if you really sat down and thought about one teacher in a pair, so 2 adults in a classroom with 18 students, you probably could make a list pretty easily of what those challenges would be. I don't think anybody would be surprised, but I think it's important to remember that this is the first time for many of these young students to be in a class with so many other students, in addition to the fact that they're in the room with 2 adults that they've never met, and for their brief life that they've been on earth for 3-4 years, they've had, maybe a parent or a caretaker. So they have 2 new adults to learn, a brand new school, and then 17 other students that they have to interact with. And the challenges of even knowing where the bathroom is, to what time can we go eat because I'm hungry now, those are challenges that preschool teachers have to face in addition to actually teaching.
So there's been some changes on the state and federal level when it comes to pre-K. Tell us about some of those.
Absolutely. So the General Assembly and VDOE, Virginia Department of Education, have been working really hard to elevate preschool across Virginia, especially public preschool. And what they want to focus on is making sure that our teachers and our paras have robust professional development to really understand the importance of those early literacy, numeracy skills, and how to teach that in a way that students at this age can truly grasp. We also are focusing heavily on the social emotional skills. Teachers will now be observed using an instrument called the CLASS tool, and that is a tool developed by University of Virginia. So we're working closely with UVA and Virginia Department of Education. And this rating system, these observations, will help teachers see where they are strong and areas in which they can continue to improve so that our students are benefiting from their time.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier on about going to different locations to talk about pre-K. Reiterate for us where you're going and where that's going to be.
So on Monday, September the 30th, from 5 to 7:30, we will be at Southside STEM Academy at Campus Stella, and then we will have 3 other events across the city. We're working on days and locations right now, and we will certainly be putting that out to the neighborhoods and the surrounding schools of those areas as soon as we have finalized the dates.
And we will definitely share that with our public and let them know. Thank you for coming on the show today to talk about pre-K.
Thank you for having me.
And we want to thank you for watching NPS Now. It airs weekly on WNPS, Channel 47, or you can view us online at www.npsk12.com. If you have any great story ideas or events happening at your school, please be sure to email us at npsnews@npsk12.com. Again, we want to thank you for watching NPS Now.